Hi, I'm Triumph, and today I'm going to scroll r/conservative because I think it's important that young lefties like myself know what the right at least talks about. Now, very clearly, if you're a conservative and you see me watching this, you're going to think I misunderstood, had bad faith, or just a myriad of different things that justify your disagreement with my opinion. I'm clearly going to be making jokes at the expense of conservatives here because I am a lefty and all my viewers are lefties, but I'll also be trying to add in some sort of nuance and ability to understand why you think the way you guys do and maybe explain why we think the way we do. And if you guys are snowflakes like you say you are, you should be able to take a fucking joke. And if you're a bunch of little bitches, I don't care. And the first thing is illegal immigrant population decreased by 1.6 million under Trump. And it has a news article, which I will. Where's the news article? Oh, it's just this. The whole thing's a news article, which we'll check real quick. Illegal immigrant population decreased by 1.6 million under Trump. I'm gonna read fairly quickly. I do implore you guys to check the articles every time I do anything. Do the read here. I'm gonna hopefully remember to put this link here, but in case I forget, you guys can see the website's just the news. Illegal immigrant population decreased by 1.6 million under Trump. Guess I forgot to put that in the description. Anyway, the legal immigrant population in the U.S. has decreased by 1.6 million under Trump, according to a study released Tuesday. The Center for Immigration Studies conducted a study that based the Census Bureau monthly current population survey. The think tank study for unique work programs due to the some of the naturalization. So, without going into a long response, because there's many things that I've never saw question or disagree with, the main thing I'm going to disagree with is the savings for taxpayers. There's no evidence to suggest that getting rid of undocumented immigrants will be a tax positive for the United States. This mostly because one of the major expenses that the United States federal government has is Social Security, and that's something that undocumented immigrants can't take money out of, but if they're working in any way that has an employer paying them, they are putting money into it. So, they're, in at least that one regard, a tax positive. They would go to emergency rooms, when they wouldn't be likely to go to they wouldn't be likely to get health care. It's not the Social Security number, and many of they often don't have Social Security numbers that work. There's likely many ways they can get workarounds, but traditionally they're not going to be going to get regular health care. The likelihood of a person of color or a legal or a illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call them, going to any variation of medical care is significantly lower than just a white natural born citizen here. They just go to the hospital less. The biggest drain on the medical system are rural poor white dudes specifically. But more important than that, these are people that live in the schooling areas. We provide That's true that we provide funding based on population sizes. So if there's less students in certain schools, the district will get less tax money. Now, that's less money that taxpayers have to pay. But again, if the kids of undocumented immigrants are paying into a system, then that's how we get out of it. Like if you have a bunch of people working in a community that are getting taxed, like most immigrants are, they're putting money into the system, and that's part of the money that goes into funding them. Or in a lot of cases in cities like that we have here, there's a bunch of people that are putting money into a system, and that money gets absorbed into the federal government and then dispersed out into different rural areas, whether it's the other states within your own state, and that money ends up basically subsidizing areas that even that's the immigrants subsidizing poor white folks. But any conservative will disagree with everything I said, so we'll move on, and we'll go through faster through the rest of it. That's just a general dig into it. ABC News anchor Kyra Phillips revealed she was jumped by half-dressed vagrant in D.C. We're all experiencing it firsthand. That could happen, I suppose, hypothetically. I'm from Connecticut. I'm in Providence a lot. I'm in Boston a lot. I hang out in New York a lot. The only thing I've ever had happen to me that I'd say were violent, 2 times I've had cars stolen, both in Connecticut and New Haven. One time at gunpoint by a natural-born American citizen. I think it was like some 17-year-old kid who was trying to join a gang. They didn't even have a real plan. Wasn't really going to shoot me. Crime is a real issue that exists, but statistically, let's show you guys. This is by Fox News. I'm on the MSN website, so it filters it through. Washington, after months of warnings, President Donald Trump invoked the D.C. Home Rule Act, placed the Metropolitan Police Department under federal control, citing the need to combat violent crime in the nation's capital. The move gives the U.S. Attorney General oversight of the MDP for 30 years, including deployment of 800 National Guard troops to assist with law enforcement. Troops are expected to arrive within weeks. Do we talk about the decrease in... Okay, yeah. I just want to see this as right here. This Thursday, department meeting. Okay, well, it doesn't actually say what I'm looking for, but it should talk about the crime rates decrease. Oh, where is this? Recent news. I just want to see actual specific data. Crime rate data over the years. Apparently, the violent crime rate has been decreasing over the years. I don't know about petty crime, though, right? Like shoplifting and stuff. I imagine that's probably... Oh, we can look at this. Interesting facts about yearly crime statistics in the U.S. 2025. Homicide rate has decreased 16% from 2023 for the annual change. 2024 versus 2019 has decreased 6%. That means we probably had some rough years. In 2023 specifically, right? But this is from 3 to 4, so obviously we don't have all the data for the year yet. It's decreased. Everything has decreased. Aggravated homicide, aggravated gun assault, sexual assault, domestic violence, robbery, carjacking. All of these crime rates have decreased, specifically from 2023 to 2024. But all of them over the last 5 years have decreased. Massively. And now we can look by year. Violent crime rate was 463 per 100,000. And let's see if it ever rose. No, it has not risen from that point after 2006. That was the highest point for violent crime. Let's look at property crime. Decreased significantly per 100,000 people. So Trump's sending people to D.C. for increased crime. Look, devil's advocate, he could not care that the crime rate's lower and just be like, I don't care that the crime rate's lower. I think it's too much crime. I don't know what he's trying to get back to. I don't know what advanced data we had on violent crime in the 1950s. Maybe we could look it up. Sure. All right, let's see. Maybe that he's trying to get back to like the Make America Great Again era, which I assume he means the 1950s. Deaths by homicide per 100,000 residents and population from 1950s at 5.1. And we've actually decreased from 2019. So maybe he's trying to get back to the 1960s era. Where, how old was he in the 1960s? Trump's 80, right? That was that 30? That's 55 years ago. So he's his 20s. He was like, what, early 30s? He was in his 20s in the 1960s. So he was around, he could be in my age. And if he remembers people getting murdered significantly less, well, actually not significantly less. Still less, but one less murder per year per 100,000 residents. I don't know, man. This is like, when you look at the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, that's like a large chunk of Trump's adult life where the crime rate was super high. And then in the 2000s, it mellows out a bit relative to most of his adult life. Poll, Democratic favorability closer rate. This I do want to talk about because I think... Democrats aren't aware of how little they're liked, and it's because of some major things, like them not doing anything about all the issues Trump's causing. Chuck Schumer saying things like, we're going to let the polls take care of him, we're going to let him hang himself by his own noose. That's not what he said, but basically Chuck Schumer's plan was Trump's going to do a bunch of bad things, and people are going to not like him, and it's going to hit him in the polls. Unless Trump runs again, he doesn't have to care about the polls. He already is fucking president. It doesn't matter. In fact, he can just be hated for the next 2 years and then switch a bunch of shit around last year just to get a Republican elected, even if the Republican's himself. And then more importantly, Trump doesn't know the difference between favorability polling between Democrats, Republicans, and generally. He thinks that he has a general favorability above 80%. I think he was on some Fox News. He's like, I'm polling at 90%. And he's like, it's 80% among Republicans. It's like, no, it's 90%. He thinks that we all like him, and he doesn't think there's that many Democrats in the world. That's why he thinks the election was rigged, because he doesn't think he literally doesn't believe there are enough Democrats to have voted for Biden, Kamala, and Hillary. Like, he doesn't think that makes sense. But yeah, 34% seems higher than expected. You're getting down to the core of hard leftists at that number. Hard leftist. And also, I don't know what they mean when they start, like, I don't know if they think leftists like Democrats, because leftists hate Democrats. Now, I could call myself a lefty, and that's just mostly because it's a pejorative that conservatives use. I'm to the left of anybody that would vote for Trump, obviously. And I'm probably to the left of most people that voted for Biden, but I do have at least a base level understanding of economic policies, and I don't think communism is necessarily inherently the only right way. But I also don't inherently dismiss it just because, like, capitalism or nothing, and that's not my strategy. But stupid policies win stupid prizes. That's fascinating coming from conservatives. Honest question, why are there leftist mobs running amok and getting away with it still? What does that mean here? Oh, this is Breitbart. Breitbart is, if that must not mistaken, I'm sure that's... Oh, that's not owned by the Daily Wire. Or is it? Is that... Breitbart's owned by Big Bro. Associated Press NRC poll in July found that more than 1 in 3 Democrats described their own party as weak or ineffective in countering President Donald Trump's administrations. Democrats usually eat their own as it stands, see perpetually changing ideologically polarity tests based on their perceived course story. He says, see also perpetually changing. That's not a thing I can check. What do you mean, see also? That's just you saying that. You're not quoting something, right? However, their unpredictability in recent times is due to their base feelings that they have not gone far enough left. This should be a warning to anyone who finds themselves center left and further right. What do you mean when you say constantly or perpetually changing ideological purity test? Like, the recent ideological purity test and the left is, are you pro-Palestinian? In that sense, usually just means, do you think Israel needs to stop doing that? And Democrats are failing. Democratic representatives are failing because they're like, hey, we need to figure things out. Israel's our friends. And Democratic voters are like, you don't have friends that commit genocide. But like, there's only so much digging into the perspective of someone who's in a bubble. I don't know that. I mean, there's a chance. I mean, these guys do look at like the Fed news. They look at other parts of Reddit where Democrats exist. I'm not sure the bubble they exist in. I know I exist in a bubble. Everybody at my job is for the most part a lefty. My community is all lefties, so we all exist in bubbles. And not tonight. I'll go to sleep before that, but I'll do debate streams and where I get to talk to you guys, and I know I'll hate it. But yeah, we might wrap it up here because I'll do this forever. Sure, we'll read this one. Last one. ICE Houston arrests more than 350 gang members, and it's not just MS-13. Hell yeah, get them out of H-Town. Won't someone please think of the gang members? Please and thank you. Democrats, what happened to your ICE protests? Got cold feet, scared of getting arrested? They're still protesting. That's my favorite thing about, like, rage baiters in general. Yo, what's up, Tipsy? Like, they're still protesting ICE. Like, we have protests all the time. I just went to a protest in Rhode Island. They just go wave their little signs on Dunleavy Bridge and pat themselves on the back afterwards. That's also my favorite thing is either protesting at all is too much, you're stupid, shut up, you shouldn't have your opinions, or you're not protesting enough. It's crazy. Like CNN fact checks Trump, claims DC crime isn't a problem. But statistically, it's less of a problem than it's been over the last 30 years. Like, I looked over here, crime rates, deaths by homicide in 100,000 in the United States from 1950 to 2019, when Trump would have thought the greatest times in America. Maybe he means the 1950s and 1960s, because technically the crime rate is slightly, well, it's not slightly, it's lower now than when it was now. But right in the 70s through 2000s, it's 8.8 deaths per 100,000, 10.4 deaths in the 1980s, 9.4 deaths in the 1990s, and it steadily has been going down. And specifically over the last 2-3 years, it's been decreasing. So when they say claims crime isn't a problem, it's less of a problem. Like, we've been making progress. All of these programs we have to help reform criminals work. there's the science. It works. It gets people to be less likely to commit crimes without ruining their lives. But it's like they don't care. Most peaceful robberies and shootings, even though statistically it happens at a lower rate in cities than it happens in well, not shootings. I don't know about like per population, like per 100,000 people, you're probably less likely to have some sort of violent incident happen to you. And a lot of that is because of total, like, there's a lot of people, like, to see something happen. It's kind of hard to jack a car when a lot of people are watching, but it's easy to jack a car if you live in a suburb and you drive to you go to a store, people break in your car while you're shopping somewhere. Like, but part of it's like, in Boston, you're like, someone breaking into your car and stealing your stuff isn't really going to happen. Because are you really driving? You should be taking the T, or you're riding your bike. Someone stealing your bike can be a thing, The recent subreddit tab is fucking killing me, by the way. Oh, the recent? That's so funny. I forgot about that.